What if I told you that the amount of XRP that you would need to hold to be in the top 1% was actually significantly lower than what you thought? In this video, I'm going to be going over a lot of information regarding XRP, the future of XRP, specifically the price of XRP, and why holding a specific amount of XRP could not only make you extremely wealthy, but how it sets you apart from the rest of the holders of XRP as well. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. It's not a big secret that holders of Bitcoin over time have become extremely wealthy. Going from, sub $1 to over $100,000, Bitcoin has made tremendous gains compared to every other asset out there. And when we think about that, we really think about the future of crypto and where Bitcoin can go. But if we're thinking about that, we also have to think about other cryptocurrencies, like, for an example, Ethereum and even XRP. The all-time chart here and the all-time percentage is absolutely insane for Bitcoin. When it comes to Ethereum, we do have the all-time here at about roughly, 57,000%. And then, of course, XRP at over 36,000%. Now, if we think about the 1 year on XRP, XRP has had a very good year, even though the markets have been pretty turbulent as of recent with the trade war and the tariff discussions. Regardless of that, XRP has been performing very well. And not only has it been performing very well, we have been witnessing some pretty big moves happening around the fundamental side to actually support the utility of XRP, not just around crypto, but also in the convergence of TradFi with DeFi through things like tokenization. But outside of just price action, we already know that this entire environment around crypto is changing. 2025 has marked a very big year for regulations and legislation discussions ongoing to actually support stablecoin initiatives, support utility-based crypto projects as well. And now we're actually seeing a big spotlight put on XRP around the institutional side. First and foremost, Wisdom Tree. So big shout out to Smoke Dog for this. We have Wisdom Tree in 2025. They highlighted that XRP is leading altcoins. Now, this is no big surprise considering the fact that XRP has been outperforming most of the top 100. And here we actually have from Wisdom Tree, this is a March overview. So Wisdom Tree's February 2025 crypto basket rebalance keeps Mega, Block, and Volt aligned with market dynamics. No asset changes, but strategic weights have been adjusted to reflect shifting trends, with altcoins led by XRP outpacing mega caps, yet carrying higher volatility. Our institutional grade approach ensures disciplined exposure to the evolving crypto landscape. But what's funny about this is it's not just Wisdom Tree, right? Like, Wisdom Tree is putting a spotlight on XRP, but if we think about some of the things like XRP ETFs, and this is more so led by Tukrium. So Tukrium CEO said that he likes XRP and said that it will actually be used as a tool in the future to move money as well. But then he goes on to say there's enough XRP out there and the system is already built. Institutions are bullish on XRP as an asset. Check it out.
And so I like crypto. We didn't really do much with Ether. I happen to really be an XRP fan. I think that it has a good use case. I think it's very legitimate. I think that they're smart people, and I like the asset. And so when we realized crypto, there was going to be a more friendly atmosphere toward crypto by the new SEC. We got to work, filed as soon as the new SEC came, as soon as the old SEC was out of power. Let's put it that way. And the 75 days went by. And we launched as soon as we possibly could, and it was a very good process. It was tough to do. We got excellent tickers, and we're here, and we're happy.
Bitcoin is a store of value, and you were just alluding to what Ripple's doing. But how do you like to explain what XRP is, just at a basic level?
So it may or may not be a proper explanation, but what I tell people is that it is it's going to be used as a tool. It's a tool that's going to be used to expedite the movement of assets, primarily money, around the world almost instantaneously. They've built out the platform and the system. There are enough XRP out there and around. They have a very good dissemination plan. Everything is going to be better regulated, well regulated. It's willing to be regulated. They want to be regulated, and we've got hopefully an administration which appears to be very crypto friendly, and we're very glad about that. So I think XRP's use case is primarily the movement of money and assets around pretty quickly.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, when we think about utility, we think about the future around this space. Projects like XRP will shine among the most, right? But we also think about other institutional players like Standard Chartered, which also just recently predicted that XRP would hit $12.50 by 2028. Now, I think that this is a very conservative outlook. Now, this is regarding ETFs and even legal clarity. But what I find most interesting about this prediction with XRP is they're also predicting Bitcoin during this time to hit $500,000. Now, why do I find that very surprising? Well, I find it very surprising because if we're thinking about $500,000 for Bitcoin, that would mean a $10.5 trillion market cap. So for them to predict Bitcoin hitting $500,000 and then XRP hitting about $12.50, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Because even taking into account the total supply of XRP, which will say 100 billion, even though it's not actually 100 billion, at $12.50, that means a $1.25 trillion market cap versus Bitcoin's 10 plus trillion. I don't think that that is a fair overall prediction. And I actually think that this is to persuade us to actually sell XRP earlier because, oh, well, why would I hold XRP for an additional 3-4 years knowing that it will only hit about like $12.50? I think that this is to actually kill our motivation around holding XRP. At the same exact time, though, we're also hearing from other institutional players like Bitwise, for example, that are saying that Bitcoin will cross $1 million by 2029. So now if we're thinking about that, that's double, which is like over $20 trillion in market cap for Bitcoin. If that's the case, then XRP would be significantly higher in value, not at $12.50, because so far this year, XRP has put Bitcoin to rest in terms of outperforming it. And even all time, right? If we're thinking about the all-time view here, a lot of people will say, well, you know, Bitcoin has outperformed XRP so far. And listen, back in 2017, 2018, XRP severely outperformed Bitcoin. Back in 2021, we still almost outperformed Bitcoin, even though we were in the middle of a lawsuit and XRP was delisted from all major exchanges. This time around, we're severely outperforming Bitcoin, which I find very, very interesting. And even if you think about the entire cycle here, yeah, XRP has outperformed Bitcoin from 2022 to now. So if we're thinking about Bitcoin hitting $1 million by 2029, what is the actual realistic view for XRP by 2029? I don't think that it's $12.50. I don't even think it's $20. I wouldn't be surprised by 2029 if XRP hit like $50 plus because of these insane predictions on Bitcoin. Now, again, that's taken into account if these Bitcoin predictions actually do hit. But if we're thinking about, you know, XRP being that valuable, well, what about the rich list? Because, you know, to get into the top 1% right now, you need about 51,563 XRP. Now that might, you know, become a shocking number to most people. You know, 50,000 plus XRP, it's not easy to come by today. But what about even the top, like 10%, top 5%? Well, now you're talking about 2,500 XRP or even almost 9,000 XRP. I mean, again, today that seems pretty unrealistic for the, you know, average investor to, you know, achieve. But think about the prices at which we did have the opportunity to accumulate XRP in just like the last year. I mean, XRP was down to like, you know, 40 cents at some point in time. I would say the average about 50 cents, right? And to most people, you know, if you were here during 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, like you had a very, very long time to accumulate XRP on the low. So even to get like, we'll say 20,000 XRP, you know, at an average of like, I'll say 45 cents, 40 cents, $8,000 to $9,000. And again, that might seem like a large amount of money, but you had 3, 4, 5 years to actually accumulate at those levels. But this rich list is showing us that you actually don't need that much XRP right now to be in the top 10%. And if we're thinking about these Bitcoin price predictions, because it's not just Bitwise saying like, oh yeah, Bitcoin will cross $1 million by 2029. It's also even ARK. Now, Kathy Wood is extremely bullish, saying that Bitcoin will hit 1.5 million by 2030. Like, these are some of the craziest price predictions that I have witnessed around the space. And it's for something like Bitcoin. And to a lot of people, they say, oh, well, Bitcoin has tremendous amounts of utility tied to it. It doesn't even come close to XRP's utility. So if Bitcoin can hit $10 to $20 trillion in value, and XRP, we're supposed to believe, only can hit like 1.25 trillion with the total supply, by the way, like I'm accounting for the total supply here. I don't think that that is a realistic view, especially at the same exact time that Standard Chartered recently just talked about the tokenization market hitting 30 trillion by 2034, and even Ripple releasing a report talking about, 19 trillion almost by 2033. These predictions are all over the place. We just know that tokenization is going to be massive, and that's going to be on DLTs like the XRPL, where XRP is a main driver of a lot of those tokenized assets. This is why I'm looking at some of these price predictions, and I'm in shock by just how ridiculous some of them are. And I think that this recent one, I think that this is kind of crazy to think that XRP will hit like $12.50 by 2028, $12.25 by 2029. But we're supposed to believe that, Bitcoin is going to hit $500,000. Like, that's just wild to me. In my opinion, over the next few years, as we do start to see more regulatory discussions, we start to see regulatory frameworks released, we start to see utility becoming a main driver here. I think that XRP and assets similar to XRP that have strong utility cases are going to multiply like we've never seen before. And yes, I'm talking about previous cycles, major, bull, cycles, alt seasons, etc. I truly do believe that these types of assets will make us extremely wealthy. And being in that top 10%, that top 5%, 4%, 3, 2, 1%, any of these are going to be very, very bullish long term. Today, you might say, well, to be in the top 10%, it doesn't really make sense because, 2,500 XRP is nothing. It might, be nothing to you, but to some people, that 2.5K XRP is a lot. Now, that's at today's numbers. Imagine if we 10x from here. We were at like $20 plus for XRP. All of a sudden, that 2,500 becomes extremely significant. And I think that this is what's going to happen over time as we do start to see utility, shined upon more and more and more and become a big spotlight from the institutional side. We already know that the institutions are lining up. We already know that tokenization use cases are becoming a reality in almost every single aspect. We're talking about real estate, stocks, bonds, treasuries, you name it. I feel like we are just at the beginning stage of crypto adoption. We have yet to actually see what utility will really kind of be valued at. But I do think that XRP is going to be a very extremely valuable asset. And it's not just because of like the institutional use. It's also because of the DeFi side from retail. I mean, the adoption of this tech is only going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And I think that that's where we start to see a much larger network effect around these networks that have very strong efficiencies around specific things like, DeFi and payments, remittances. So to me, I really do think that getting into that top 10%, if you can, manage to get into the top 4% around like 11,000 XRP, I think that that's for the best. The more you could hold, the better. And I've always stressed that over the years since going all the way back to 2021 And I continue to believe in that today. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, so notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.